Hey there, this is Bob Nalbandian with the Shockwave Skull Sessions podcast and the Inside Metal documentary series. Just want to let you know you are tuned into Poppitt's Corner.
All right.
All righty, sir.
All right. Back in the saddle again.
I'm back.
All right.
Anyway, how you been, man?
Doing good, T. You know, rock and rolling. We're, always working on projects in multiple stages of development. And it's good to just hang out with you again. And I haven't done a podcast in a long time, actually, with you. Actually, I don't even know when the last time we did this, but I know it was a while, almost like a year. I almost want to say it might have been a year. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think the last time I actually did a podcast episode was like 6 months ago.
6 months ago,
So,
yeah.
Obviously, I've been a little busy, and
Yeah.
but it's a good busy, man. I just the next film got announced last week, which is the Legacy of Sideshow Studios. So really excited to have something new to promote, and
Yep.
just always working like you.
Yeah.
Always working.
Always
just
working.
Different avenue.
Yep. All right. So what's our subject matter for today's podcast?
Well, before we even get into that,
Sure.
because it's been so long, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm assuming you have as well. So I kind of wanted to just discuss what we've been up to and some of the projects we've completed in between now and then, because it's been a minute, and obviously we're going to be talking about film this time around, because we always talk about music. I think that other people out there that have been watching the show for a long time, they know, like, we always talk about music, but I wanted to talk about something fun with art and just another facet that has never really been talked about on the show. And so, but before we even get to that, what are some of the projects that you have completed that you can announce that are coming out or that are out as we are doing this specific interview?
Well, tomorrow will be the release of Job for a Cowboy's Moon Healer. I did the cover, I did the layout, I did some artwork and illustrations inside the layout. So that's a big one. That's like, one of the bigger bands I've ever worked with, and grateful to be able to work with them again. And so that's pretty exciting. I'm really excited about that. And doing...
That's why we always have to turn off our phone here, my man.
You know what's funny?
That's hilarious.
I thought I did. My apologies. My daughter. I'll give her a call. I'll give her a call back. Sorry, V. I love you, babe. Doing. I think it was. Like I say, if it's been a year, I did the Arkansas Death Fest, which was really good. My buddy Heath has the Heathen House. He's got some property out there, and he's building like this outside venue space, which has been great. And then, so I went there out there twice. He has another festival called the Brett Fest, which is one of his best friends passed away. And so, in remembrance of him, he throws a festival, which I think is really, really cool. And I think it's in May 17th, 18th, I'm going to be going back out there to do some live art, and which I'm really excited about. And then I'm also going to be doing live art in Hawaii. There's going to be two death metal festivals in Hawaii, so I'll be out there. I'm working on the poster art for that, and going to be doing live art. So I'm really excited about that as well. And I got a couple events coming up in Los Angeles, and then and just projects. I've been working on your project, getting a lot of your stuff done, which has been great. The sideshow, doing the artwork for the sideshow, and then doing Madras, the new EP that you have, right? Like an EP, right? And then of the other, the live stuff we've been doing, and then other bands I've just keep working on other bands. There's a bunch of good ones that I'm working right now. At the moment, I'm working with Splatter Cadaver. I worked with those guys many, many moons ago, and I get to do their next upcoming album. Very excited about that. It's kind of challenging because it seems like death metal kind of has a theme, and the theme feels like it's played out a lot, and so it's very hard to reimagine and keep that theme fresh. So I struggle with that at times, and I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, man, just trying to keep it together. Trying to do the family balance with work, and trying to promote work, and trying to book for the upcoming year. Yeah, pretty much. I'm sure as as our conversations continue, more things will spark up.
Oh yeah, dude. So
and you've been super busy.
yeah, I've been working on myself though. So that's
Okay.
been the busy aspect.
That's the most important work.
So yeah, man, I've been reading a lot. I got my first library card.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Which I guess is not like really quote unquote metal, but who gives a shit? It's up for my own sanity.
Yeah.
So, in order to get away from kind of technology, having a screen in front of my face all
Right.
day, and also too, like I've been kind of struggling with this porn addiction thing.
Sure.
Which it isn't easy, I can tell you that much. But at the same time too, it's always like that counter balance of I don't want to like completely not do my business, but also find that balance of doing it too much. And it like anything, it's when you do it in anything in
excess.
yeah. It becomes a problem. And so
Sure.
I admit I have a problem, and
Okay.
getting through it, and super grateful to be where I'm at right now because I'm super positive.
Good.
I know who I am a little bit more each day. I learn, and I know, again, who I want to associate with, who I don't want to associate with,
Right.
the types of qualities I'm looking for with, to be a part of the Tanner Poppitt inner circle here.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm just super grateful, man. I'm super grateful you're here, have you in my life. And
Yeah. Ditto, man.
yeah, dude, that, the Eyes of the Deceit cover came out great. I love that you turned our mascot into a tree.
Yep.
Which is really cool, and yeah, it's just been super fun. We did the movie poster,
Yep.
which I don't know if you've ever done a movie poster.
No, I've never done a movie poster.
That's amazing.
That's my first.
I'm honored.
I'm all about it.
Honored.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do, and for such a cool project. I don't, like I say, I don't know of any for locally to do a documentary on a space. It's a recording space, right? Or it's a jam space, right?
Well, I like to use the term film. I
Or
like
film. I'm
using
sorry, yeah, film.
Because I think documentary kind of cheapens the
Sure.
what I'm trying to go for. So yeah, I made a film on a very important aspect of music. That was kind of my main focus,
Right.
Not just the rehearsal space. The rehearsal space had the history, and like that was like kind of the key component, because I also got to touch on a subject that I've always wanted to touch upon and ask the question. I know it's obvious, but it needs to be asked: is just how important rehearsing is for a band. Like,
Right,
what
right.
is having a space to go to? How important is that for a band? Is it
yeah.
important? Is it not? Is it? So, with the types of bands that were interviewed for the film and different subjects that are included, yeah, it was a super fun project. I got to learn a lot about people, bands, their kind of quirks and what works for them. And also, too, I found out there's like a family dynamic, a culture around Sideshow, and that was like a complete bonus. And, as you do films, you kind of don't have a story at first. The story just kind of appears, and you have to go find it.
Gotcha.
So my job as the editor and director
Yeah.
is to find that story.
Yeah.
I had the subject, great, but what is the story? What is the main component that is gonna lock on with people watching the film? What are
Right.
they gonna associate, with? How
Right.
is this gonna apply to their lives?
Right.
Because I didn't want it to just be a film about music. I didn't want just music people to be able to get into it. I wanted the whole world to root for and to kind of relate to this film in terms of like you don't have to be a musician to dig it.
No.
You know, if you're into film or whatever, this is kind of, I think this would be really interesting for the average viewer, you know.
Well, I think it also gives somebody, if they're not, if they're not in a band themselves, it kind of almost gives like a behind the scenes, or at least a glimpse into like the lifestyle of what bands have to do to, because a lot of people don't have the opportunity to be able to jam like in their house. Like, so especially in Southern California, there's not too many basements around here that we can go in and jam and not have neighbors, calling the police. And so I also, when I watched the film, when you showed it to me, when you came over and showed it to me, I really enjoyed a lot of the nice thing about it. Really nice thing about it, you interviewed a lot of different genres of people in there. It wasn't like one specific genre. It wasn't like all reggae or punk rock or something like, you kind of have a nice
Balance?
the nice balance of all of them, but they all shared the same struggles. Having a safe space that you can record or just jam, come in with your bandmates and work, right? Just have a place to work through your songs or rehearse them. Because I don't know too many places anymore around here as much as like maybe like in the 90s. I feel like there's a lot more spaces that bands had opportunities, and then plus pandemic and everything like that. I know a lot of really good a lot of places might have shut down because of that, and it's great to see that this place has thrived through it and keep going, and it's run by musicians themselves. It's not like a corporate thing,
Well, yes, it's run by musicians and people who support musicians and understand the struggle. And too, with this film, you really learn that like, these people kind of do it in their free time.
Yeah,
like
definitely labor of love.
Like Sherman and Gina, this isn't their full-time job. They have jobs outside of this. So
Right.
that was made it kind of extra interesting for me as to like that we have people like this that go that extra mile. And
so grateful.
it's almost like another avenue. It's even more important than what we're doing here with podcasting, is like having a central place for musicians to hone their craft and their songs. And
or maybe find other musicians or people that maybe do the artwork or videos and stuff like that, or renting or repair of instruments. We were talking about that, the board, the cork board that they have. That was a really cool segment of it. I like how all the people it just feel like my friends. Everybody they interview, I'm like, oh yeah, I have friends. You don't struggle with the same situation. When I was in a band, we're grateful that we had our own studio. But I also felt too, because we had our own studio, we didn't take advantage of the time that we had. It was almost like, oh, we have it. We should be working a lot harder because it's limited. But because we had so much time, we didn't work really hard at it. That as hard as I would like to have worked, having that space, I once kind of took it for granted, I feel. But something like that, all the bands in there have a focus. They have it's not there just drinking and partying. It's not somewhere they're working. They're trying to get their dreams and goals going. And I like how they're that it's a space for bands to do that, because once again, I don't know too many places in Southern California that are affordable enough for, like, say, underground bands to go and flesh out their craft.
Well, there's also a relatability with the people involved in this, because I really feel like I know that person.
Totally.
I know a person that's like that.
Absolutely.
And it was just super interesting to learn the importance of the subject matter. And again, I get it. To the grand scheme of things, like, it might not seem important, but when you watch the film, you really kind of come away with like a different perspective on music, and you have a more appreciation for that, just bands in general, I think. And you want to root for these guys.
Yeah.
You want to root for these guys and gals that are in the film and that have this specific practice space for bands, and there's a venue in it that you find out about.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool too. I like that aspect.
And I think because of that, this is a film for everybody. It's not. I didn't get into making films just to please a specific group of people. Like I wanted everybody to maybe walk away from the theater or the streaming at home, which we'll get into, going, man, like that was really cool. Like it was a great film. It was edited. I mean, most people don't even think about the editing and things like that, but I just hope that the story is in there somewhere. People can get, can relate to any dynamic of it. And that's really why we do these things, is hopefully, somebody can relate to it. They go through a struggle or they don't even know that places like this exist. Or,
Yeah, if they're in a band, they're looking for a great spot. It's so nice that if a place was seedy and unsafe and ripping bands off, I don't think there'd be a documentary made unless that place was making their own film about it, I should say. Some bands are local and they go see this. Hopefully, it keeps that place going with new, fresh bands coming in. And I'm sure that's what they would like as well, is just to kind of keep it going and not. Once again, it's doing the arts is a constant struggle, and anytime you can get a bone thrown to you, it's I think it's almost twice as sweet.
Well, I think as well, any artist can relate to it as well, where, I never thought about advertising my video service or my artwork skills in a rehearsal space. Maybe I can help a band out, get more stuff on my portfolio, make a little moolah,
right,
and establish more connections in terms of a clientele.
You're
you
right.
Maybe it leads to other things.
Right.
Because playing music has led me personally to carrying on in a different art form, which is, filmmaking.
Right.
It's gotten me all these killer connections to be able to use people's music and you just pay it forward in terms of that aspect. And like I said, I just hope that people walk away going, man, those people are so freaking cool. I want to root for them. I want to support them. I want to make my own films based on subject matters like this.
Yeah.
You
Or maybe start a band, knowing that there's a place where, you don't have to bug your parents or bug your wives or boyfriends or neighbors. You got a place that's affordable,
And, this as well is, I think, having, again, I am always under the impression of that what I think is cool may not be cool to other people, but in the end, I'm making the things that I want to see actually exist. So that's why I keep doing it. The albums we make, or this specific release, or this EP that got released. I want those things to be out there, and so you create the things you want to see exist. That's what I look at it as.
Yeah.
I did the Heretic film that people love.
I loved it.
And
I learned a lot about the band, which I didn't even know about the band.
And you root for them.
Yeah, totally root for them. And it's cool now. If I see them in the streets, I know who they are. And then maybe curious enough to want to check out the records. And then when I was telling my other metal friends about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've been fans of that band." I'm like, "Well, do you know there's a film being made of them?" And so be able to amp them up.
Yeah, it all plays a part, and everybody's been super supportive with making these films. It's interesting. It's not like
being in a band.
It's not like being in a band.
Yeah, totally.
Where I have to fight tooth and nail for every decision,
or just even have people to listen to it. Like you'd sit down and say, I put my blood, sweat, and tears on this album. You want to sit down and maybe listen to it? And then they're talking over the whole entire thing. You're like, oh, okay, well, all right, well, that's odd. It'd be like me showing a piece of artwork and they're reading a book or something. You're like, okay, well, then never mind. Maybe on your own time, check it out when it's quiet, no one's bugging you.
Which they never will check it out.
Which they never do, yeah.
So, but I think with film, it's really interesting. Like, I am a fan of film. I just it doesn't matter the subject matter, as long as I'm interested in this particular subject. Like, perfect example. It's not really a film, but there is a TV show called How It's Made.
Oh, I love How It's Made.
And I've always
it's
curious.
Wonderful. Yeah.
I've always curious. How are these things? How is a toothpick made?
Yeah.
How is a compact disc made? How is a helicopter put together? Like, they go through all these things that I never knew of, and that's what makes it interesting. So I don't have to know everything about toothpicks to care about, this particular TV show or this particular film.
It shows me the genius of the human mind. Like, they make all these machines. Like, what? Why isn't there films of the engineers making this stuff and how they come from an idea to a huge machine that works? And because everything has a machine to make a product, but no one really talks about. And to me, those are the geniuses, the unspoken heroes in the world, making our lives easier, and no one talks about them either. Once again, How It's Made is cool, but how are the people making How It's Made? Like, let's go deeper. That makes me really interested, because you don't realize. Whatever. I'll just use this as an example, like just making the top of this, all the thoughts that came into making a machine that can make a skillion of these in a day, like, well, how did that guy get there, or a person do that? Like, what tools do they use? Like, how long, what's their background? What other things have they done? It's no one gives those people credit. That's a shame. So I'm glad that How It's Made is made. But I hope in the future people are like me, are inspired, but like, well, we need to be asking deeper questions, because who's building all this stuff? Where are they at? Are they even real? Like, to me, it's like magic. Like, it's so complex and it's so ingenious. I don't feel like these people are real, because I can't wrap my mind around it.
And I know that when it comes to art in general, there's schools that teach people how to do things.
Oh, yeah.
So then that's super beneficial. But when you are doing a particular skill, now that you kind of know how much work it takes to see this come to fruition, and most people have teams and such, and there are people that make their own films or their own artworks or their own records, and you have a deeper appreciation for those people.
Yeah.
When I go now to the movies, which I was never like a guy that would just go to the movies. Now I love it because I know I can relate to it. Like, even though I've done 2 films, still I've done 2 films, so I know what it takes to edit and to go out and get the footage and get this and permissions and this.
Or just get the people together. Just that alone, the contacts, make sure they can show up, make sure you can show up. Just dealing with
make sure the audio issues, video issues,
and then all the red tape of the music and who owns what, and did they actually, like you say, do they go through BMI? Do they actually register their music, and all the things that you kind of discover. Because sometimes you put these people on a pedestal because they're older than you, or they might have done something before you, but a lot of the basic stuff that should be done isn't done. Like, I know you've told me about that, a few bands you've interviewed, and you were very surprised that they never really copywritten some of their stuff, or like you say, went through BMI to register the music. And to me, to hear that, and like you say, some of these are on a big label, and to hear that, you're thinking, that'd be like I'm in a band. I'm not even a band that's even on a real label, but I did that, and we're just a fun, it was just a love project. It wasn't like being in a band to go tour the world or anything. This is something that we just want to do on our own. But you figured people that are on labels, that have gone through big tours, that have music videos and so on and so forth. I learned that from you, because I never would have gathered that information, because I'm not asking these people these questions.
Well, what it tells me is that nobody's taking care of the bands.
Yeah.
That's really what it tells me, is that, you have nobody looking out for you.
Yeah.
You haven't been for a number of years, and that's really heartbreaking. So here's kind of my
shame on the labels.
Well, shame on managers, shame on all those people. But here's my way of kind of giving back. Like, you know, it's that stuff's important to me, Tone. You know,
Yeah.
that stuff's
It is. It's important to me, especially when you bring it to light. You know, it's because now it's making me think. You know, well, all the bands I've worked with, I've never asked them the question because I'm always trying to figure out what are they. You know, how do I use my talents to help their vision come to life? It's not really like it's not the music aspect to it. It's just like the visual aspect. That's what I'm concentrating on. But now, you know, going through this because I've always want to help the bands I'm working with because they're helping me, so I want to give back in any way I can. These are kind of important questions that I'll probably just throw at some bands just out of curiosity. Hey man, have you registered your music yet? Once the album gets dropped, are you registered through BMI? Or, are you going
What?
through, are you going through, DistroKid to have all your stuff? Because there's a lot of bands I work with, and I want to tag them. You know, I'll show their artwork and I want to tag their music, and they haven't registered to have their music, like, say on TikTok or on Facebook or on YouTube or anywhere. I can't. A lot of times I'll just put it maybe on Bandcamp or Spotify, right? But you're like, oh, if you just paid the $30, it's on everything. It's on streaming programs I've never even heard of. But at least I can bring your music up to help promote and bring maybe my fans to you, so to help you generate some income to keep you going. It's a community. We all should be helping each other. But if you're not helping yourself, then we can't help you. And there's a lot of bands like that. And I just feel bad. I'm like, well, here's their link, but I think it'd be a lot cooler if I can show the artwork with your music in the background, because everybody's so used to instantaneous gratification. No one wants to rarely ever hit a link or button now. Like I'm passing out stickers and postcards, and people are asking me, do I have a website? I'm like, it says sketchofsoul.com. Like, right in front of you. I literally handed you something that has my information, and you're still asking me the questions. That's kind of terrifying, and that's more people. It's probably 80% of the people that do that to me. And I'm just like, wow, we're in deep trouble, as a society. If I'm giving you the information and you don't even reading it or like looking at it, and because the first thing I think of is something I'm curious about. Oh, I'm going to Google it. I don't know, whatever band it is. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to Google it, see what comes up, and then I can go deep dive into that. A lot of people don't do that, and I'm just like, well, how do you get your information then? I'm like, heck, you can just talk into your smartphone and it'll come up. Like, how are most people functioning? And it's the easiest way to get information now. I'm not saying with everybody, but a lot of people. I give out swag all the time, and that's really concerning. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, the film business, in the underground scene at least, the independent film business, is not like that. Like, we're all in it to help each other. The music is like a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah.
But I feel like the film business, I really gravitate towards this new venture, just because of having that aspect of it. Like, that's really inspiring for me. Like, I met filmmakers I didn't even know were filmmakers. When I interviewed Leah Scott Price, I didn't even know she did films.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I knew she did comics.
Yeah.
She
kept that other thing hidden, and I'm going, okay, I'm going to pick your brain on this aspect.
Yeah. Once again, that's
she was super helpful.
Yeah, more layers of talent that already a fan, and then you're like, oh wow, you do more stuff. How do you have the time? Make me look lazy.
And you know what's really nice though? I'm so glad I didn't treat many people like dicks, because I would have never have gotten that from, if I treated people that were like I'm not, obviously I would never do that. That's not part of who I am. I've seen people do it where they kind of look down at other people that because you're not in a band or
I've been the other end of that. Oh, you're an artist? That's it. In
Yeah.
fact, my whole entire life has been like that. Oh,
So-
what's your real job? What do you do for a living? I'm like, oh no, this is what I do, man. And once again, then you give them that swag, and they don't even take the time to even look at your work to even to believe you that this is what you really do. That's it's odd. It's sad. It's disheartening for sure.
What I was saying though is, hold on one second. But what I'm saying is, I'm so grateful that I know people now that are doing the same things that I'm doing now, but maybe years prior who aren't anymore. Case in point, I'm going to keep using her name because I love her. Is Miss Leah Scott Price is like, she understands the value of what I'm doing.
Right.
Like, she's thanking me profusely for including her on projects, prolonging her legacy, and that's what it all is, man. It's like it's good. It takes all of us to do that, and I only want to do films using our friends that are grateful for it. Like, I don't want to use ungrateful people. Like, I'm done doing that. That's like the music world.
Right.
I'm done with that. I'm done with ungrateful people.
Agreed.
So, when I have people asking, "Hey, man, what's going on with the band and this, that," and I'm not saying my bandmates are ungrateful by any stretch. I'm not even in the same ballpark. I'm just saying there are other musicians and this, that, and the other that are so entitled, and there's way too much fucking ego to where I give a shit about helping them. Like, I'm done with that. I'm done with all the gatekeeping bullshit, the ego bullshit that's driving metal into the ground. I'm over it. Like, you guys can have that. That's your toxic relationship that you want to fucking ferment in and love until the day you die. That's cool. That's your trip, man. I'm going over here where, like, there's nothing but love and support and kindness, and I really found that in the film world, at least in the independent. Like, when I go to a theater to rent it out, like, they're always super grateful, that I'm renting out their theater.
Not like a venue where they could care less.
Yes.
Right. How many people are going to be bringing in? How much money are we going to be making? What's your numbers? How many fans are coming through? Yeah.
Yeah, they're just super ungrateful, and movie theaters aren't like that.
Yeah.
They're grateful for, like, oh, there's like new people making films, so it keeps our place open.
Yeah, and fresh.
Yeah, to where
and new. It's not the same same artist for the last 30 years doing the same thing, which is fine. But there's got to be room for other people to grow into that realm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be the opposite. I think it should be nothing but new faces and the occasional old. Just like wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
The music industry is not like that. It's like all old and the occasional new, and it's that's why it's dying in terms of, like, it's not dying in terms of like having new bands and fests pop up. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about it's not growing up; it's growing sideways. Like, it just keeps growing sideways. So yes, it is growing, but it's just not growing. It's not leveling up. It's just staying on the same level, and like you're flatlining here. You know what I mean?
Well, my thing is too. It's like in the next 20 years. I mean, how old are these? I mean, these bands been playing around for since the 90s. Some are even the 80s. You're like, how much more time do they got? And but and not being an ageist or nothing like that. It's cool if they could physically rock and roll. Cool, but I mean, time is ticking, man.
I don't want to see a 60-year-old version of a fucking thrash metal band. I don't give a shit. If that's ageist, you can go fuck yourself. I don't want to see you. I just don't. You can go fuck yourself.
And when you see them at that level, they're charging like 5 times the amount than they would in their heyday.
Yeah, and they're not even at that level anymore.
That's what's blowing my mind. I'm like, you guys are getting away with this?
Well, people are paying for it.
Yeah, people are paying for it.
So it's all your guys' fault. So take some responsibility.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man.
All of our faults. I take responsibility too, because I was there too. But it just seems like that's not in the film world.
Gotcha.
It's completely different. It's like I should have been doing this well before I started to do this at age 31. Like, I should have been doing this in my 20s. But here's where the other side of the coin here. I established so many connections because of the musical world
Right.
that I am now utilizing it in my other venture that I love doing.
Right.
So it's a true blessing, seriously, to still be creating and having those contacts, and the fact that that I didn't have to stay in this one avenue of art to keep creating. You
Right.
know, there's nothing stopping me from doing what I want to do.
Right. Other than yourself.
Other than myself, and I have chosen not to stop myself. So,
Right.
you know, I didn't sit on ass for 5 years while the pandemic happened. I fucking
Right. You say plandemic? Oh,
So, like-
I love it. Plandemic. That's hilarious.
so.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Do you know what I mean?
I know
So,
exactly, which I never heard plandemic before, and I love it. That's great.
the fact of the matter is, I didn't just sit on ass
Neither did I.
waiting for something to happen. It's
No.
like, nope, I'm working on myself. I've done this, doing this project, this, boom, boom, boom. Oh, this new venture opens up. Okay, I want to try this. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
These other things here that I'm just so proud of doing. And you know, I had guidance doing it. You know, the first film, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just going out and meeting people, interviewing them, relentlessly, you know, scheduling their interviews for the film, and this is what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to take it there or how I'm going to get there,
Right.
but I'll figure that part out, and I did, and sold out the theater, and
now-
like.
Now, I got a question for you. Did you, because you've been in the band for so long and you've kind of spearheaded, you know, being in the band, did you feel, you know, when you go, you know, you're writing the songs, you get in structure, you write multiple songs, then you go to record, and then you got to do mix, and then you got to master. Did you feel those skill set helped you then go into this new avenue? You feel like you're almost ahead of the game because you know what's important is having an idea and following through to the end?
Yes, I yes, but I use different skill sets. So like, even though I kind of knew there was different stages for making an album, and I've done it quite a number of times, I didn't know the different stages of filmmaking. So I was asking around. I was asking, you know, I was going on YouTube and seeing how they did it, and like, I had family members who have done films, and you know, doing the film fest circuit, and like, you know, how to do it properly, getting it out there for distribution. I'm still not at that specific place yet of getting distribution. I'm still doing everything myself.
Right.
Hopefully one day when people, you know, and I know people are going to care. They're going to want to help, because these films they're not dog shit. Like, I think that I edit them really well.
Mm-hmm.
It tells some cool stories.
You got
that
my
people-
attention. The ones you showed me, I mean, I sat and watched through the whole thing, and I wasn't bored, and that's, you know. But once again, that's kind of where I'm coming back with because when I was telling you, your tempo was great, you know, and I'm like, that is definitely because you're a musician. Like, you know, when in the transition, you know, it's like it's a tempo, right? It's you know, whatever, you're having a conversation with a person, and then they bring up something, and then you're bringing up a point of reference as they're speaking to keep the viewer interested. That, to me, like, as I was watching your films, I'm like, oh yeah, that's, you know, Tanner knows, he understands tempo and timing and pace.
Structure.
Right. Yeah.
It's like structuring a song. How many times is
structuring
this
a song.
riff going to be played?
Absolutely.
Does this part need something extra to make it emphasize this specific thing that I need to be emphasized?
Right.
So, like, case in point, Eyes of the Deceit, right? There's a part before the solo where it was, you know, these killer power chords. How am I going to emphasize these power chords? Okay, let me do another layer. How about let me try clean? Oh, wow, this really works well.
Yeah.
And then I find whatever riff kind of would work with it, and boom, it's already in, it's in there, and now it becomes a classic. Now it becomes something different than what it originally was. So again, it's like the story finds itself as you're making it.
Right.
So when people say to me, well, what's the story? I say, well, I'm not going to know until the end of the film.
Right.
Because I'm always, case in point, we're working on a film together, which I'm super grateful for, that I get that opportunity, that no other film director gets that opportunity besides me. So when we work together on this film, I don't know what the story is. I'm going to find out what the story is as I'm doing all the footage and the interviews and it's going to be really cool. I don't know where this is going to go.
Gotcha.
You don't even know where this is going to go. That's what makes it exciting.
Gotcha.
Right?
I'm with you.
It's like creating a song. It's like recording a song. We have no idea what these are going to sound like at the end.
Right. But there's a riff.
Yes, we have
something to start with.
Yes.
Yeah,
we have a starting point. This is the subject. Okay. Boom, go.
Right.
So, and I'm also, maybe because I'm not like, I haven't learned all the facets of marketing and this, that, and the other. So I'm not really after creating something for just one specific type of person. My stuff is mainly meant for everybody. So
Right.
I'm not going to put myself in a box like I did with being in a metal band where
Right.
it's only for, and again, there's no disrespect. I love heavy metal. I have no regrets. I love the band. I'm looking forward to playing with them, hopefully in the near future. But right now I'm over here doing the filmmaking.
Yeah,
thing.
you have another new passion.
But I don't want my films to suffer like the metal stuff did, where it was only meant for these people. And now that I'm a filmmaker, people are going to start discovering my other avenues. They're going to start discovering the band, and this guy does other things that I can support, and
Right.
And you learn too with being in a metal band. You're only playing in front of metal people. Doing films, you're meeting all different types of people.
Right. And all ages.
And all different political things that don't get in the fucking way. Like in heavy metal, it's like you have to have this specific liberal fucking point or political preference to be accepted. And I'm like, that I don't agree with any of that. Like, we're all human beings. We all have our own sets of beliefs. And I don't think that like that even needs to be a part of the art that is what we're creating, like that should never affect the art. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the creative process.
Yes, it should never affect of like, I now I can't watch or listen to you, or you're not a part of the club because you believe that. Like that's horseshit. Everybody has their own thing, and in the film, again, it's super supportive. Like nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. Other people don't give a shit. We're all in this kind of together. So when we get the project, we see the better picture, and we're just kind of going for it. And that's the beauty of filmmaking for me, is we're just in the moment, creating. We have no idea where this is going to go. We put all of our differences aside, and it's like, this is the focal point, and that's exciting for me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I don't have to feel like I have to persuade you to want to work with me, or like I'm like grasping at straws trying to get this to work, because everybody seems to love, you're making a film, I want to be a part of it. I want, oh yeah, of course you can use my songs, of course you can. And I'm like, heck yeah, dude, I'm not getting this much, love and support in music right now. Okay, I'm gonna venture into this where I'm more appreciated.
Yeah,
appreciated.
I've been saying that for a while. I just want to go where I'm wanted.
And I'm not wanted in music right now.
Yeah, I've there's other festivals, unfortunately, that don't want me there, which is very sad because I've worked some of these festivals for many, many years, and they don't want me to be a part of it for, I don't know. I wish they would let me know what I did or what I didn't do, so at least I can work on it to then, for next year. But if you just say, you're just denied, I'm like, well, what did I do wrong if I would be able to work with you for 10 plus years? That's kind of odd. And you complain and you claim community, but I'm not a part of your community, but I'm good enough to make you guys money, but I'm not a part of your thing. I've been getting that a lot, and that's very gross. That's I don't treat people like that, and I don't want to be treated that way. And so, I cut those ties, and once that door shuts, there's another door going to open. And once again, we just need to go where everybody needs to go, where they're wanted. Period.
Where they're appreciated.
Where they're appreciated. And a lot of times, Yeah, I mean,
And look, I take
it's hard. It's hard to be appreciated when it's not the norm. I feel like sometimes.
Well, see, and I take full responsibility for that. Meaning, like, I should have not stayed as long as I did at the party. I should have recognized it
Right.
and said, "Oh, I deserve better."
Right.
And now that I found something better, now I'm like more appreciated. Like that's always how it happens. But at this moment, I love where I'm at now. I will I'm here, man. Like I'm not going back down.
Right.
I'm only going up.
Absolutely.
So, it's kind of a shame. I feel bad for the new fans and this, that, and the other that, want to see us play. But it's always so like, hey, man, it's time for me to go to this other venture that I love doing just as much. And I'm even more so because I'm appreciated.
Yeah.
Like there are people, I've had, 80-year-old women that have come up to me saying how much they loved my films. And that really means a lot. I've had 6-year-olds, I've had 30-year-olds, I've had
Right.
20-year-olds, 15. They all say, keep going. Like, I really love your films and I love your I love your work. And then they just, the heavy metal thing's kind of like now the cherry on top for people. It's like the
Yeah.
bonus, right?
Right.
So-
you could do this too. What? Yeah. Yeah, and it's something more they can dig in, which I always find very fun.
Yeah. So, and I'm not talking smack just to talk smack. I should have recognized it and said, you know what? I'm going to take a stand here and just go the other way. And without the pandemic and the fucking, my wrist issues, I don't think I
Right.
would have ever found that. So
Right.
I'm eternally grateful for the trials and tribulations that I have had to overcome and still am overcoming, right? I didn't just sit on ass and let it affect me. I didn't roll over and die
Right.
like most people would have.
Right.
I fucking
and
used
a lot of
it.
people unfortunately did, and it was very interesting to see people that don't have a creative outlet. I felt really imploded, and I feel like the people that do have a creative outlet just shined. For me, I definitely shined through it. I got so much stuff done. Not saying that I would want another pandemic, but there's a part of me, I'm like, I saved a lot of money during the pandemic, man, and I was able to invest back into myself a lot. And now that things are open and now things are more expensive, it's harder for me to reinvest in myself, and it makes me it's a little disheartening.
Well, I think we really found out what's important to us.
Yeah.
We found out that we don't really need to spend this much money on these shows or this stuff or this.
These festivals,
Like,
these events.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything anymore. We now know the value, and that's super powerful.
Yeah.
So again, I didn't have a creative outlook, during the time because all I had was obviously playing guitar. So now that I've had to stumble into these things, and it's really super cool, man. I don't know. I have to thank God for that because I think He was pushing me along. This is again a bone of contention for people. That's their own trip. I have my own trip, but
We all have our own.
I have accepted God into my life, and it's made my life super. Like I'm super happy, and isn't that what we want in life? Is just to be happy.
Pursuit of happy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, man.
And I don't judge people, and I hope people don't judge me for it. But
Everybody,
I have my own thing, just
Yeah.
like everybody else. But I'm not going to be afraid of like who I am. I'm not going to be afraid
you're
of
supposed
like
to embrace it. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to be afraid of who you are.
Yeah, I'm not going to be afraid of like, being a conservative and being a Trump guy and being I'm all these things, but I also am not this thing that the media portrays us as like racist and this that. It's all nonsense. I'm just a human being like everybody else that wants humanity to thrive, man. Like we need to all thrive together.
Well,
And we need to be like a fucking community and a culture again, instead of like me versus you versus like that's not what it should be about.
Well, I also feel that because we live in such a big metropolis, we live in Southern California, that it's too big. It's great that we have all this stuff available to us, but it's so far. you know, and all our communities is peppered throughout everywhere, you know, and it's like to go visit a friend or a loved one. It's like an hour drive plus, you know, that's may or may not with traffic. With traffic going on, and gases are expensive. Maintenance on your vehicle is expensive. And there's no, like I say, there's no fun clubhouse that everybody mutually goes to, you know, weekly, or, you know, there's no cheers, right? There's no place for us to go where everybody knows our name. And, you know,
there is Sideshow Studios.
There's Sideshow Studios, but I'm not in a band, you know, so.
Wait, but you're an artist?
Yeah, I am an artist, but I mean, just for somewhere, I mean, for me, it's like, during the pandemic, with my partner Amara, like, we built our space into our own sanctuary, so it makes it very difficult to want to leave because we have everything that we love inside our space.
I think that's what it was designed to do, and I get it. It's hard to break out of that.
Yeah.
But you also can have both.
You can't have both. And that's why I do live art at shows still. It forces me to get out because I typically wouldn't. You know, I'd just stay home all the time.
So this is going to be a great segment, man, because you're talking about having, like, events, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like again, when I did the Heretic film, sold it out. We had people come out of the woodwork for it.
Yeah.
Right. We created an event out of it. We're doing the same thing with the Sideshow one. It's going to be dope, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. Like, you're telling me that they're going to have bands at Sideshow Studios themselves.
Q&A session.
Absolutely.
It's not just you're going to see the film and go home. Like, no, now come to the after party across the street. We're going to have a band play, a Q&A. You know, it's a guitar raffle.
So cool.
Like, make an event out of it.
Yeah.
You know, you're only, you know, paying a couple bucks to do, you know, to come in and see the film, and, you know, you support Gardena Cinemas, which it's being held at, you know, June 29th.
June 29th, that's right. Yeah, which is plenty of time to plan for it. Once again, to build the event. We were talking about that earlier, because it's wonderful that it's not, it's next month. Like, there's so many things going on. I gotta, you know, I'm booked out 3 months, you know, and it's like, how do I want to be a part of it, but I got nothing booked so far in June. So, like, I want to go. I want to show up. I want to see what I did the artwork for the event. I've never done poster art, and I want to see it blown up all big, and I want to meet the people I illustrated. So,
dude, you should come out, man. Bring the kids. I mean, you could literally bring the kids.
Yeah, I'll definitely bring the kids.
You know, there's only a couple F-bombs at the end, and you can cover their
trust
ears.
me, my kids.
I'm old school, man. You know me, dude.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I can't cuss. Can I?
Always
be respectful of everybody.
Absolutely. But they're my kids. I'm a dirty degenerate, and you know, either I scarred them or I've opened them up for life. But either way, you know, they're pretty open-minded children, and yeah, I think it'd be interesting for them to at least see, because they were fairly young when we had our own studio, and that's been a few years now. Pandemic. I mean, that's 4 years now, 5 years now, 5. Yeah. My daughter, probably too young, wouldn't really remember too much. My son would, but it'd be nice to take him to a new spot, and then, you know, live bands, right? It's all ages, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely live bands.
So I'd love to see have them see live bands. That's really important. Once again, you and I have talked about this multiple times on podcasts. Like, I can't take my kids to see shows. I don't know any of the bands that I like. They're not really all ages. There's like at bars. It's always like in bad areas that I don't want to bring my kids, and it's usually really late. I'm like, I don't want my kids to be staying up until 2 a.m. Like, yeah, but, you know, that's why I miss Showcase Theater. You know, it's like, oh, cool, you guys. I think they ended, you know, 11 or 12, or, you know, and if it's on the weekend, I don't care. The kids can sleep in. It's not a big deal. But I can't share my passions with the kids because there's no place to do it. So this would be a great opportunity. Do you know what bands are going to be playing?
I don't. It'll probably be you know, like a tribute band or something where they'll play like all different kinds of stuff, and that's cool, man. I dig that. Like, it's not going to be like the blaring death metal or anything.
No.
Because
But
there's a lot of
and there's a lot of different genres there as well. That's what I was wondering. Is it a
Probably.
mariachi band? Is it going to be
I think it's
jazz
gonna be a
bands?
tribute band. Yeah.
Okay. All
I don't know what tribute band, but yeah, we're gonna make an event out of it. And where I was gonna go with this topic is, we got to make movies great again in terms of like making an event out of it, not just going to see the movie only and that's it. Like let's have like a band play or orchestra play right before the film, or like have a nice restaurant in the theater that you force people to kind of stay and eat, hang out, and like make an event out of it. It's not just you're going there to see a film and that's it.
Right.
And that's why a lot of like movie theaters are kind of suffering. It's because they're not making events out of it. It's just like, because I can see these movies at home.
Yeah, well, I think some of the movies now, they're serving alcohol and food. Some of them are right now. Honestly, I haven't been to a theater since pandemic.
Yeah, and they have like nice chairs
Yeah,
now, which that was like their incentive to try and bring people, to the theater. But it's like, I think what's more important is having a family atmosphere where it's like everybody. It's an event. It's not just, again, going out to see a film and that's it.
Right.
Because you could do that at home.
Right.
And how are you going to entice people to want to come out, hang out, watch the film, maybe, have play video games or something in the place, or have other avenues, and make people want to stay and hang out and support theaters. It's like, it's stuff like this, meet and greets, have somebody do a Q&A at the movie. I mean, it's not even going to cost you, nothing but 15 minutes of your guys' time to do that. Right. And most of the theaters, they make their money with advertisers. So you can't tell me that you can't get an advertiser to, have their thing or their advertisement right above. Well, and the whole time where somebody's doing a Q&A, like that can't be a thing.
And concession stands too, like when you're for popcorn.
Well, yeah. So
are they making their money on that too? No, I don't know.
The common misconception is they're not. They're actually renting the equipment for that stuff. So that kind of stuff kind of pays to rent the equipment for it. Oh. It's interesting. You learn a lot, dude.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until like a year or two ago, where I'm like, that's really interesting. So most of it is made on advertisers. So like before the movie plays, they always have like a Honda commercial.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like that's where they're making their money.
Like local businesses or something.
Well, yeah, most of it's like, like I said, a car commercial, fucking Gillette razors, whatever the case may be. Not, and this podcast is not endorsed by any of those. That's free advertising.
Yeah, right, absolutely. We're just making an example.
Yeah, free advertisement for you guys. So, yeah, man, there's different tiers of like advertisers. Like, right before the movie begins, like that's the spot that they paid the most money to be, because it's right before the movie starts. Like that's, there's like, and then there's one at the end of when the movie ends, kind of thing. So yeah, it's interesting. You learn a lot, man. You learn a lot about different art forms. And
so when we have the 29th, correct? June 29th?
Yeah.
So when this is done and shown at June 29th, are you still going to take this film to independent film festivals?
It's already on the circuit. I've already applied to to certain festivals that hopefully will take it. If not, it is what it is. But yeah, hopefully.
But you're in the process.
I'm in the process,
Gotcha.
and most of those will be April, May.
Oh, I see.
In between that period, so that by the time it reaches, the end of
June. So
June
next year.
No, so June.
Because April, April, May. That's are we in it now? Right.
Whoa.
What are we in February or January? We're in February.
Right.
Yeah. So
at the time of recording this podcast, by the way, for the people listening and watching.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, February 22nd, I think is what it is. Yeah. Right. So it's not going to be this upcoming April.
It will.
Oh, it will. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say because it's in June.
Yeah, I don't believe in the whole like holding on to something for 2 years and then releasing it.
Right.
I want it out so that I
can. Done on to something else. Yeah, I'm with you.
Keep moving forward.
I'm right there with you. I think that's ridiculous. A lot of bands do that. Like I've done artwork for bands. I completely forgot I've done the artwork for the band, and then they release the album. You're like, why you? And labels will do that. I'm like, why are you holding on to this? Because you just postponed you could have been making another album 2 years ago. You could have had another album to keep the momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
I always find that really strange. I'm sure labels have reasons for it and this and that, but like as an artist that constantly makes stuff, like I want to make something, release it, so I can make another thing, release it. Just keep it going. It's a machine, right? You got to keep feeding the machine. But people are better at business than I am. And I guess there's reasons for it. But like I say, as somebody that makes stuff constantly all the time, I want it out, and so I can focus on something new.
Yeah, that's how my brain works too. So it's one of those things where I've learned a lot from the last film, and I'm going to make everything myself in-house. And the cool thing about this is I'll always have a place to sell the films. Like as long as Sideshow exists, I'll always have an avenue to be able to sell the film at, because the advertising for them, and the film gets out that way, and then I can sell it online and this, that, and the other. And so there's going to be different avenues for those films to exist in.
Right.
I mean, I'm not worried about that. So I just want to keep moving forward and not having to hang on to like all these projects, and then they don't see the light of day, and it's like, what a waste of my time.
Yeah, and you, like I said, you want to build your portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the streaming thing that comes into play as well. The Heretic one is getting ready to hopefully be streamed. So
on what?
I'm trying to get it on Tubi and Amazon, and I hate streaming platforms. I always have.
How come?
Like the Spotify's and the.
Oh, I was thinking for movies more so.
Well, they're both the same shit.
Gotcha.
It's the same.
Fair
shit.
enough, I guess. Yeah, fair enough.
It's the
fair
same
enough.
shit.
Fair enough.
I just think that, I like owning my own stuff. So
Absolutely.
I want it physically in hand if I like a film, or, I don't.
Yeah, you talk about this all the time.
There's like now commercials with everything, and I'm like, I don't want to watch 9 commercials in between like this part and this part. I'm like, I'm going to change it.
Yeah, YouTube got like, why is there so many commercials in YouTube now? You're like, after every little thing, now there's a commercial after every little thing. Before it was like a little bit, and then it was fine with me. I'm like, okay, sure, it's free. I ain't paying for they need to make their money. I'm completely fine with that. And same with SoundCloud. When SoundCloud first started, like you were able to listen to like 5 or 6 songs and then hear a commercial. And it was a short commercial, maybe, a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds max. Now they're putting 2 commercials after each song. You're like, you're messing up my momentum. I don't even care. I'd much rather just download it once again, go old school and put it on, on my MP3 player and run it through my car, or CDs. I still love CDs, and not have to worry about no commercials. And the quality is better. And I don't have to worry about it. If my connection isn't good. That's another thing I don't think people really pay attention to. It's like, yo, man, like, have a couple CDs in your car. Like you can burn MP3. You can put so much information on there. I still like burning waves. I don't like MP3s. I like the highest quality I can get, FLAC and all that stuff. But you know what I'm saying, man. Like, but everybody just, I get it. It's keep it clean and keep it streamlined and keep it all together. But like we were saying before, like I don't want music running off my phone, because my phone, or let me say smartphone, it's a computer. It's more than a phone now. But like when I'm driving, I don't want my battery to be, granted, or you can charge it up, but a lot of times I don't. I just have my phone in my pocket. I throw a CD in my car, and I'm driving around happy as I can be, right? And then if the phone rings, it's not interfering with music. I turn it down. Hey, I still old school. I still have I have it. I don't have those wireless ones. Those little
the AirPods.
I don't have the AirPods. I still have the. I don't want another thing I got to charge up. Good Lord, man! There's so many things got to charge all the time, and I'm happy with that ritual that I do. And granted, technology keeps moving forward, and everybody's got their own thing that makes them happy. And like I say, I'm not judging or anything, but it's worked for me. And like we said before, like I'm grateful I still have a CD player in my car. Like I will probably always have it, unless I get a brand new car and doesn't have it. But I love the ritual of grabbing the CD, throwing it in there. It takes a couple seconds to read it, and then it kicks on. And and I love listening to a full album. I don't get bored of songs. Bands I listen to are dope. Like, I love music, and if it's a crummy song, odds to me, I can say a lot of the bands I listen to don't really have. I don't feel like they got bad songs. Maybe some that I don't like as much, but I love listening to a full album. And it saddens me that so many bands are now being conditioned to just release like EPs all the time. They're not even releasing full albums. They're just want to release a song, milk that, release another song, milk that, release another song until they maybe get 5 songs, and then they release that EP. And then sometimes you listen to the EP, you're like, oh, these songs are not really cohesive. There's no, I'm not saying every band, but I just feel I work with bands, man. Like I think I know a little bit about this. And so when I'm grabbing albums and you're putting them on, you're like, I don't feel like a lot of them are using this as some sort of epic story to be told and having everything being grandiose and like the bands would be back in the 70s. These guys are making epic albums that are timeless. I just feel like I think everybody's getting swindled. I feel like everybody is being forced to be rushed to constantly make content and make the things, as opposed to like calming down, really refining what you got, make it the best you can make it. And I get caught up in that too. So I'm, trust me, I don't make enough content, and I feel like the content I'm making, or say some of the art that I do make, it's half-assed because we are conditioned and trained to constantly be pumping things out. And I think it's doing a disservice to me personally, and I kind of feel like that as well with some people I work with, and I understand the pressures of it because there's so much content at our fingertips and being blown at us all the time. It's hard to keep attention spans anymore.
Well, like I said, you just got to create for you. I think the real disgusting thing is basically persuading people that not owning anything is a good thing.
Owning physical stuff, I know.
Like,
it's gross.
It's what the WEF says is true. You own nothing and be happy. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm gonna own everything now just because you said that.
Yep.
And and it's important to do that. So I encourage everybody to support what you want, what you find interesting, man.
And also, which is ridiculous because like when you go to Comic-Cons and you go and have like toy conventions and stuff like that, you're owning toys. Like people are encouraged to buy toys, right? So why aren't people encouraged to buy CDs? CDs take up less space than a toy does.
And there's probably less plastic. I don't know.
Yeah, but
how much plastic goes into making toys compared to
DVD
cases and shit like that?
Right, or vinyl, but like I say, I'm a CD guy. Like I love vinyls. If my artwork is on it, I love that because I'll put them in a frame and I like putting them up on my walls in my studio. I love that, but I'm not into tapes. Like I get bands now giving me tapes. I'm like, I didn't like tapes back in the day. To me, CDs are the perfect format for the size, for the little booklet, and if you have a lot of them, but it's just fun. Just have like a wall of CDs, and you walk up to it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I haven't heard this album in a long time. I completely forgot about this album." Or I have so many CDs now, I don't remember what I even bought anymore. And I pull it out, I'm like, "When did I get this? Where did this come from? Oh, let's throw it in," And so now a lot of the music, if I listen to, say YouTube, I listen to a lot of music on YouTube. I found a lot of wonderful bands and groups because of pandemic. I just went to a deep dive, finding all sorts of amazing artists. So now I have a specific playlist. So every time I go to YouTube, I have the mixes that I really love, and I feel like the certain artists I listen to, I'm going to listen to them on these certain formats. The same goes for SoundCloud, right? I have certain artists that I found on SoundCloud, and I put the little heart on it, and so I have a whole long playlist. And granted, I can find them in iTunes and other things, but I'm like, I already built the playlist. I listen to a lot of Bad Bitches and dubstep and like Arabic trap. In Witch House, mainly on that, and I feel like metal bands, I find more on Bandcamp, but like other forms of music I have discovered on YouTube, right? So when I want to listen to all these different genres, I'm going to these streaming services to listen to the playlists I've collected, but all my favorite stuff is still the things I physically own. But because I get caught up with once again all the streaming, because it's easy, it's on the phone, it's on my computer. I don't have to dig through stuff because I don't listen to a lot of CDs at my house when I'm at home. I feel like I do more streaming, and that's why it's important for me to have the CD player in my car, because that's when I can get intimate with the record. I don't have any other distractions. I'm driving. I can really pick apart the nuances of the music, as opposed when I'm at home working on a computer, I just kind of have it running in the background and I'm listening to it, but I'm not really studying it like I would in my car.
Well, and again, that's all done by design. Convenience always takes that out of the equation of like of really being in tune with that specific thing. Again, it's like porn. Like porn's really convenient, but I'd much rather have the real thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well,
so my point is we've been conditioned we've been conditioned that way. Yeah. Unfortunately, and it's a shame that more people don't recognize that or aren't even aware of that until it's like, it might be too late or it might be this, that, and the other. So, I think that goes with everything that's convenient. And the problem though is, think of it like this way, Tone. When you go to a buffet, I'm going to equate it to the buffet. And I heard this in a podcast called Red Cow Arcade, and they were talking about streaming and like relating it to the buffet.
Okay.
So when you go to a buffet, how good is the quality of the food?
Depending on the buffet. Are you going in Vegas and paying a lot of money, or are you going to like Golden Corral?
Okay.
Right.
Golden Corral. So you pay $8.
You're last, no disrespect to Golden Corral, but last time I went to Golden Corral, I got the runs.
Okay, wait. So let's.
That wasn't good. I haven't gone back since.
I'm going to equate this to. I'm going to make an analogy here. I pay $8. Right,
you get what you pay for
to go to a buffet, right? The quality of the food is not going to be great.
No.
Rather than if I go to a place that specifically makes that. Like if I go to an Italian place, I know that food's going to be amazing.
Or sushi.
Whatever.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Whatever. An ice cream parlor. Whatever the fuck.
Sure.
But I know if I go to the buffet, like all this quality of food, there's a plethora of it.
Right.
But the quality is not good.
No.
So think of it like that with streaming. Your movies, your music,
straight up.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like the quality, you have so much available, but the quality sucks.
Yeah.
Because you're listening mostly on MP3s, and even though they'll tell you, it sounds just as good as, and you're not going to own anything. And it's like, that's enough enough for me, dude. I took my music off of fucking Spotify.
Yeah.
You know why? Because if your band doesn't get, 1,000 streams per song each year, and I already know like we're kind of a band that a certain amount of people listen to, we might not be able to get that. And even if we did, I would still take it off due to integrity and principle. What they do is they take the money that you would have earned. Say if I would have earned $20 for that year, they take that $20, recycle it into a fucking a fund that pays the bigger bands.
Yeah,
that's gross.
It's super gross.
So
it doesn't even make sense.
You're literally robbing artists that can't. Dude, the big artists don't need it.
No.
The fucking little artists that, I get it. It's only $20. It's only this.
$20. If you don't got $20, $20, it'd be great if you have $20 if you're on tour.
Wait. But legally, they have to pay me for people to stream my stuff. So now you're taking you're taking my money that people legally had to pay to use and you legally have to pay me for my stuff to be on your platform that's played or whatever.
And that
so
guy,
you're robbing me.
And how much money is that owner of that making? He's making a good chunk of change, isn't he?
Why is Joe Rogan getting $100 million for fucking 5 years of talking, and artists aren't getting?
Right.
They're getting a penny, if that, per stream.
Yeah, I don't once again, it
And-
blows my mind.
And this goes for every streaming platform.
Right.
Like I encourage all bands to fucking do that. Who gives a shit if your friends can't find you on this shithole
if
platform?
your friends would buy your album, if they're your friends.
Yeah, no, or if they're your true fans, go send them through Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Have them pay at least with Bandcamp. Yes, they're kind of shitty too. You know, they take a percentage. I get it.
Well, everybody's
But-
got to make it.
Yes,
Everybody's
got
to pay bills.
I get it. You know, it's the same conglomerate though. It's the same. They have the machine behind them, just like Spotify and this, that, and the other. But at least with the bands, you know, on Bandcamp, you're really supporting the artists like tenfold, rather than, you know, paying Spotify now to not pay the bands you want to support by listening to them.
Well, and also on Bandcamp, they there's times where they don't take a fee. Like it'd be like, you know, and I think that's really cool. That's really special. Like I personally feel Bandcamp
Friday.
through all of them is the most fair. I don't know about like the percentage of getting back, but I feel like at least they're trying to work with bands more so than anybody else. Truly.
Yeah, they were like the only during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Was helping out the bands, and that's why they had Bandcamp Friday.
Yeah.
You know, they did it like once a month, I
Something
think.
like that. Yeah, absolutely. I can remember getting an email from them for Fishing for Neptune. I'm like, what? That's a thing? And then, I'll throw it out there.
The only thing I don't like about Bandcamp is some of the organizations that they donate to that I didn't agree to fucking donate to. Like I don't want to donate to certain places, so I
don't understand. What do you mean? They'll take your
yes,
money?
Yeah, so like the fees that they would inquire, they would take that for a specific organization. It's like, whoa, not everybody agrees with like your political horse shit. Like just let the music do the like. I don't understand.
Well, it's their money though, right?
Yes, but I mean, no. It's how do I explain? I'd have to show you the email. But basically,
okay.
they say we're going to donate all the proceeds to
X, Y, and Z.
And it's like, wait a minute, like
I see.
You know, and again, I don't understand like the activist mentality bullshit. Like, can't we just make music for music and donate to like music things?
Yeah,
like
but young
about
musicians that don't have opportunity to buy instruments or a space to record in or help legally with an upcoming band.
How about healthcare?
Oh, that'd be wonderful. How about mental? Yeah, healthcare with mental and physical, dental, vision, hearing.
How
right?
many musicians don't have health insurance?
Jesus, too many.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how about donate to that? It's
I would love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking,
Right. Some sort of weird political gain that
like
really benefits only them, nobody else.
Like
I feel I can see that.
It's bullshit. So
yeah, I know. I was unaware of that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, man, dude. It's very frustrating. So
totally.
Again, I'm in this new art form. I'm looking forward to venturing into more different territories and finding my way, not being afraid of who I really am, and encouraging others to step up and not be afraid of who they are either, man. A lot of people don't know who they are, and that's really frustrating, dude. Like, go out and fucking learn something about yourself.
The only problem with that is that we're also part of cancel culture.
Yes, I know.
And it's a loaded weapon, right? So we're encouraged to post up every day, right? Put whatever type of content on there. You have reality shows that promote drama and just toxic traits and behaviors to, generate higher ratings. And then I feel like a lot of people are emulating that and self-incriminating them for the future. Because, whatever you put online, it doesn't get erased, no matter what people think. They'll find some sort of weird thing on you. You might have had too much to drink or too much to smoke or too much to sniff or whatever. You're having a bad day and, you're getting out your frustrations, or you might have said something wrong, or at the time it was okay, like during that era. But 10, 20 years later, it's not okay. And then they can dig that up and then cancel you. We see it happen all the time. It happens to comedians, happen to actors and actresses. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, that was a long time ago. People change. If they haven't done that in the recent, year, or 5 years. Why you? And I just feel like it's
political. It's all
and yeah, but
politicized,
I've and truly for me, I don't post up a lot of stuff anymore. Like I've learned by watching from others' mistakes, and once again, the days I've drank and got depressed, I know I put up dumb stuff online or just angry or just bitter. We all do. We're all, but and once again, it might bite me in the ass in the future. But I'm grateful that my lifestyle and the things that I do, I've always been true to myself, and I'm not really hurting anybody else intentionally. And the artwork that I'm doing is for a genre that it's for the extreme. We're set up to shake everything up, right? That so when metal is being softened down for whatever X, Y, and that's not the reason why I got into metal. I love metal because it's completely rebellious. It's the most extreme. That's the beauty of it. Like, you need the dark side. There's two sides of the coin, man. There's the light and the dark, and no one really talks about the dark. They hide in the shadows, and that's what I love about metal, because they would bring all that to the light. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I don't know, I feel like we're kind of losing that. And it's like, I don't know, when I got into metal, people were angry, and they had good reasons to be angry and upset. And now I'm just like, I ain't feeling it.
Yeah, but those same people turned into the people that they once hated.
Yeah. Oh,
so
we could Rage Against the Machine be a prime example for that. You're like, oh man, where you guys been?
I don't even want to mention the band names. Like, they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, but you know what
I
mean. There's a lot of bands out there. You're like, oh, you.
But they've always been the Machine. We didn't know it at the time, but they were always the poster boys to become that.
Yeah, but
that's why they are where they are.
Right.
The Machine put them there.
Right. The irony of it, right? But I don't know. It's just. So just going back to be careful what you're saying and careful what you put up. There's a lot of things I don't put up. I try not to put anything negative. If someone has an argument, or I just don't care. I don't want to engage, because I have a lot of things I want to say. I don't have the energy to try to convince somebody on my point.
Well, no.
Me,
here's the thing. The internet is fake as fuck. Social media is fake as fuck. Okay, I want everybody to know that right off the bat. It's not real. Go outside. That's fucking real.
Right.
Okay? So the other thing, Tone, and I know you discussed this earlier in this particular episode of not being afraid of who you are. I'm not afraid of who I am. So if I've already been canceled, like on this specific level. So it's like, that's not the real world.
Right.
Like, I have friends who love me. I give a fuck with all these pipsqueaks and virtual signaling bullshit. They're not real. Those people don't exist. In my opinion, they don't fucking exist. They don't matter to me, right? I'm trying to be a positive influence in this lane, and I'm not going to let the fake bullshit come in to ruin it, because they can't. Again, even if we can always come back. That's the thing. That's the thing. Do you remember when Pee Wee Herman got quote unquote caught, masturbating in a theater?
Yeah.
He came back 25 years later, embraced, dude.
Yeah, because nobody cares.
Because nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like he did that to kill the Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, or again, the Machine did something.
Or
whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
My point is that he was once, he had
Beloved.
to go through that.
Yeah.
He was beloved. He went through that, and then like 25 years later, he came back, and people didn't give a shit.
Yeah, I didn't care even when it happened. I'm like, Pee Wee Herman, whatever. I wasn't there. I don't know. Someone could have thought they seen something, and because he's a male. Once again, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the specifics of it. Once again, but
I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
So again. Don't be afraid of who you are. That's why we're in the fucking position that we are in, because everybody is afraid of showing people who they really are. If they don't like you, they're not fucking real. They're not your real friends. So get some real friends that truly love you. And when you're at the bottom of the, when you slip, quote unquote, the people that catch you, those are your real friends. Like, lock onto them and embrace them and love them and appreciate them, and tell people like Tony Koehl how much I appreciate you.
Ditto, brother, ditto.
And like that's real.
Yeah.
Like I don't care about the fake bullshit anymore. That's why we're in this whole cancel culture bullshit to begin with, is because we've let it happen.
Yeah.
So we can't let it happen anymore. So we got to stand up, man.
Right.
So, but regardless of the fact, we're gonna end this on a positive note here, and just say I'm looking forward to the future.
Same. Absolutely.
I feel there's a change happening, a much needed change happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to be part of that. Just in my own lane here, creating the cool stuff that I want to create.
Right.
Just as you are, right? I
Right.
mean, we've done a lot. We're not going to be afraid of
Oh yeah.
of anything, and we're just going to keep kicking ass.
If anything, I just want to poke at it more. Because you.
Well, even though you said be careful of cancel, I'm just saying
Well,
you have to poke it.
I'll be careful what I write, but I'm not going to be careful what I draw or paint.
I'm going to not be careful. Again, I'm not going to be afraid to speak my mind. Like that's not.
And for me, I feel like a picture speaks 1,000 words, as opposed words can be misinterpreted.
Sure.
So I'm just using my skill set as the tools to combat all this madness. Because once again, I'm not going to sit and argue with anybody to have them see my point. I'm just going to make the artwork how I feel, and it just lives.
And they have to discover that for themselves.
Yeah.
There's no point to even trying to persuade people.
Yeah.
I don't want to persuade people that don't want to better themselves. That's cool. I don't want you a part of my circle, though.
No.
Like that's not, you're going to waste my energy and pull me down.
Yeah.
So I'm good. You guys stay in your lane there. But for the people that, want to bring up people and love them, and that's what
that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I've always been.
Yeah, man.
And then, but there's a lot of haters out there, unfortunately, and
you can't pay attention to them anymore.
Yeah.
Stop giving them
the problem
energy.
with it, a lot of them actually affect your life because they're in position to block you for growth for certain events, avenues, just certain. I've struggled with it, man. I've in the art realm, in the gallery realm, the festival realm, the just quote unquote dark art. Like there's every community I've tried to be a part of, I get blocked somehow, or I'm not welcomed, and it's a head scratcher. Like I don't get it. I'm a nice guy. I've always tried to promote positive. I've been doing this my entire life. I've been a professional for 27 years or something like that, but I still can't break through all these little avenues here and there, and it's so bizarre to me. And once again, am I beating a dead horse? I struggle with that constantly, and there's a part of me that I don't care because I'm just going to do it I can't help it. I'm just going to do it regardless, but it's hard when you're building all of this stuff up and don't have avenues to share it. Don't have places to display it. Don't have somewhere where there's a community that really wants it. And that's very frustrating. Not saying I don't have fans. I know I got fans, but once again, they're peppered. There's no concentration of a place in the world where I can go where, I don't have any places like that I know of.
Well, and again, the gatekeepers, they're all cowards.
Yeah.
The ones controlling it, they're all, you guys are all cowards. So
yeah.
It's
sad.
It's you are the reason why we are in the predicament that we're in.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep creating for the positive, for the betterment of humanity, and whoever wants to be a part of the journey is welcome. Whoever wants to bring that negative bullshit and virtual signal is not welcome. And I'm going to keep creating and making the things that I want to see come to existence, man.
Yeah.
Film is so important, dude. You could do a lot with film.
Yeah. Oh,
a lot.
And so it's another thing I was kind of curious about. When you get into film, now have you thought about doing like music videos for other bands and stuff like that? Just because it's film, but it's not as long and lengthy, but you're still dealing with editing, you're still dealing with shots, you're still dealing with lights, a story.
You haven't said the right correct term yet, though. You're still dealing with what else?
Oh, bands.
Bands.
Fair enough.
Right.
My bad. My bad.
And I love all you guys. The thing is I want to create the things that I'm passionate about.
Fair enough.
Would I love to help out a homie? Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Would I just want to make music videos to make a living off of?
Oh, no.
No.
I was just saying,
because then I have to placate by their rules, and I placate by my rules.
It will, like, say, example would be, I primarily focus on album covers, right?
Sure.
But I've also done murals. I've also done stuff for movies. I've also done stuff for books. I've made a comic book. I've done poster design.
Movie poster design.
It's still movie poster design. It's still art, but it's a different avenue. That's the only reason why I bring it up. And it don't even have to be for metal. It could be for like a jazz band, or it could be for a hip hop artist, or it could be for a DJ, or just to, once again, just to expand your portfolio.
Absolutely. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying, like, I'm not just going to do it just to do it.
Right.
When I feel the time is right to be like, you know what, I want to give this a shot, then sure.
Do you have like a list of, like, I know you and I were talking about making like a fun B-horror film.
Yeah, I want to still do that.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
I would love to help you with that too, because back in my mind, I've always wanted to do some stuff like that. You could be the makeup artist. I would do costumes. I could do all that good stuff. Because they're so much fun, right? And there's almost a special quality of, like, really. Sometimes those movies are so bad they're good.
I love them.
I do too. They're just like, they're head scratchers. You're like, I can't believe they got the budget to make this, thinking this is going to be real successful, and it's so cringy, you just fall in love with it.
You know what my answer to that is? I like watching people's passions. That's how I look at it. Like, I'm wearing a Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite films, next to Bride of Monster and Robot Monster and The Wasp Woman and like, they're these quote unquote bad movies that I think are way better than these like $300 million budget movies that bombed. Like, I would much rather watch a Roger Corman flick or an Ed Wood film any day of the week than a fucking, like, like, I don't know, a Christopher Nolan, like a big time movie guy that's like, I might not like all the special effects, but I like the passion that went into these said films that are quote unquote bad because somebody was passionate enough to make it and, like, see the vision through. Like, that's very inspiring, dude. Yeah. Do you know how hard it is to, like, make a film and see it through? It's like making an album, dude.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be way more difficult.
Yeah.
And I've talked to my partner about that too, right? So we would usually at night when I'm done working, I'll be like, all right, babe, like, we're, we've got it. We have a bed. We have the TV next to our bed and everything. I'm like, all right, sweetheart, let's go watch something, right? Like, what do you want to watch? I don't know. What do you want to watch? I'm like, I don't know. Let's go, let's just thumb through. And there's so many different streaming. And sometimes I feel like I'm getting caught up in just trying to find something to watch. An hour has gone by. I'm like, I'm ready for bed, and I still haven't found nothing to watch. And then I'm looking at them all, and I'm like, how much money in human hours are invested in each one of these little thumbnails that there's movies attached to it that I have no desire to see? Like,
we're spoiled.
Like, wild. And then there's times where, there's certain streaming videos that have really old films that I've never even heard of. And I'm like, just because they're old, I want to see it because I like the film quality. I just want a good story. I don't need those super crazy, gnarly special effects. I just need something where I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's all I want, You
know what's the movie that I love, and it's super cheeseball, but I love the passion that went into it. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've heard of it. Okay. I've never seen it.
It's fucking awesome.
What era? 50s, 60s?
Yes, definitely 50s, dude.
Yeah.
It's about a woman that something like, it's been a while since I've seen it, but it's about a woman that, like, scientifically it's like zapped or like obviously it's
Radiation or something
radiation,
like that. Yeah.
and she grows, and you could literally tell it's like just like a regular woman with like models everywhere, and like the B-roll shots of people walking, so it makes it look like and she's like behind a screen or something that
Sure.
makes her look a certain way, and it's like I really like that. Dude, and the fact that they're remaking it with Tim Burton as the director, like,
Oh, they are?
yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Like, that should tell you everything about what people want to see. It's like those kind of movies. I love the passion.
Right.
I love even the movie Ed Wood with Tim Burton did Ed Wood. Ed Wood's the director of Plan 9, right?
Okay.
And it's like just the fact, even though it's a rendition of kind of, I don't know if what really happened, but it's like a rendition, Hollywood's rendition of Ed Wood, and him being able to just go out there and just make films.
You do?
And that's super inspiring to me.
Do you know what I've been getting into recently? Is old spaghetti westerns. Just because me personally, I love character development. I love characters. I don't need to see somebody beautiful on screen. I just need somebody that convinces me that they're a part of that era, right? And then those older films, like, I don't know, the people at that time, they're real people. They weren't like all these beautiful, buffed out, perfect, and I don't know, I mean, which is great. I mean, we're in that era, but I just feel like back then they were just normal people, right? And they were just talented. They weren't super good looking or anything, but they were part of that character. They made me believe they were this character. Because like when I see Ryan Reynolds or like all these good looking people, to me it's hard I just see them as who they are. Not really as
you don't separate them for their character.
Yeah. Like I don't. It's really, it's all like Quentin Tarantino films, right? Because I'm like, oh, you're into character development. I freaking love that. Like I just really saw once again, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm all, this movie is so much fun, and I just love the way his storytelling is, and I'm grateful to be in the timeline that man's alive making these films, because, 20, 30 years from now, I go back like, yeah, I remember when this came out I saw this in the theaters. I remember seeing Pulp Fiction in the theaters when I was in high school. Like, that movie blew my mind. I remember seeing Matrix in the theaters. I was like, this is the next level. Like, I remember seeing Toy Story I'm just all, oh my God, we can do that now. And I remember seeing Transformers. I'm like, this is insane, right? And then seeing all these Marvel movies, right? You're like, dude, this is the standards for kids for their special effects, and it's such a high level. Now when I'm seeing these special effects, they're not special to me anymore.
A movie that didn't really have a lot of special effects, but I loved it, and it's one of my favorite movies ever, and I saw it in theaters like 5, 6, 7 times.
Okay.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Love Napoleon Dynamite. One of the very few DVDs I actually owned.
Okay, so it's one of those movies too. My sister's played it 50 million fucking times.
Love it.
I'll sit and watch it every single time.
Great character development. That's a phenomenal movie. Great example of wonderful character development. Every person in there is a different character.
But that movie wasn't supposed to succeed. That's what makes it even more special. Is because the powers that be did not want that movie to succeed. But
it was an MTV movie, right?
Yeah. But it was like a low budget movie.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
I loved it.
So there's not too many art jokes in the world, right? Not too many jokes the hardest I've laughed in a long time was when he drew the picture for the girl and he was talking about putting extra shading on her lip. And that's like in the art world, you do not do that. And like, I don't think if you're not an artist, you wouldn't find the genius and I literally fell off my bed rolling on the floor, and my wife, now my ex-wife at the time, like looked at me like I was an idiot. Like, and it made me feel bad for laughing so hard at that part, but it made me love it even more. I'm like, this is one of the greatest movies. I need to own this movie.
Dude.
It is so good. And then one of my favorite bands is Jamiroquai, and they were playing Canned Heat at the end of it.
I didn't even know who that was.
Oh, I love Jamiroquai.
Most people didn't know.
Oh, I was a big fan of Jamiroquai, and so I'm like, dude, you guys are throwing Jamiroquai, and he started dancing. I'm just like, dude, this movie is, and I loved it. I didn't know what era it was. I'm like, is this the 80s? Well, no, they have the internet, so it's got to be the 90s. But like, it was just, I had all these questions.
2004. So.
Oh, I know, but I didn't know what era it was supposed to take place in.
Well, no, it was supposed to just take place in Idaho in 2004, because at that time Idaho was way further back in terms of technology, because they were. That was a real thing, dude.
Even just style of clothing and hair. Like, once again, I'm like, the hairstyle is like from the 90s, and like the clothes is from like the 80s, and the tech it just constantly. And then cousin Rico or Uncle Rico, like, I felt so bad for him because I knew people like that. The grown men reminiscing during the high school was your best time. And they would loop into that, which was funny, but there was a truth and a sadness to it.
It's the Al Bundy syndrome.
Yeah, it was the Al Bundy syndrome. But that was true. But I didn't feel bad for Al Bundy. I felt bad for Uncle Rico. And then trying to sell Tupperware. I'm like, Tupperware? Like, that's. What is going on here? My grandmother had Tupperware, got that when I was a kid. And great movie, man. I love and adore that movie. I get a big smile every time it's on.
It's one of my favorite movies ever.
Same. Yeah, there's a lot of great movies out there.
Yeah,
man.
but I can say, like, I saw that in theaters like 5 or 6 or 7 times.
Oh, I've only seen it once in the theaters, but once I owned it, I saw it a bunch. And the commentary and stuff was great.
But I'm grateful that I was there at that time. I was 13, dude.
Gotcha.
So, again, that's the power of filmmaking, and that's the kind of the films I want to make, are like these kind of low budget movies. I relate to the low budget
great
films.
Stories and great characters. That's what I'm saying. You don't, like you say, you don't need a bunch. Not really special effects. Maybe a slight special effects, but
dude, then
practical effects.
Then if you own, especially if you're making films, you would own the characters, and you can make toys out of it and get residuals that way, and like licensing.
Vote for Pedro, like that alone, that T-shirt alone. How simple! I used to see that T-shirt all of the time. I'm like, dude, what a great marketing, and like that's genius.
Well, dude, how about the helicopter shirt? There's a scene when Napoleon's wearing this helicopter T-shirt with a mountain, and that was sold everywhere.
Oh,
that was
really?
Hot
so
Topics
it was their own design?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
I mean, I don't know if
I don't know if
it was. I can't say yes or no. I'm just saying I saw that shirt everywhere too because of that film. I saw the fucking unicorn shirt, the blue unicorn shirt that he wears while he's dancing.
Yeah. No, it was lightning in a bottle, man. It made me really sad that they didn't do like a sequel, but not sad.
I don't want them to.
But not sad. But I would have loved to have seen the evolution and the more characters that they would have added to it.
So they did a TV show with it.
I saw the cartoon.
That's what I'm
saying.
The
cartoon. Yeah, it was okay.
I'm grateful they didn't make a sequel.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that John Heater, the main character, didn't want to do it. So I'm totally grateful. They already tried doing that with Wayne's World 2, and I was like, no, it's lightning in a bottle. Just let it go.
Let it go. Yeah, and like the bully when it comes by, he just throws him in and just rip it on his neck, and just there's so many great parts to it. Oh, and know what?
How about the crystal when he gets the Wayback Machine? It works in Poland. You don't even know. And he puts it in between his legs, and he goes, "Hold on, I forgot to put it on the crystals." And it's like. And he turns it on. He goes, kill.
But what am I? La Fonda? Like, I mean, I can sit here for hours and talk about how great this movie is. But one of the most impressive things once again, artistically was the beginning of it. All the credits, like that was so well done. And it just set in the music, the choice of the music, the goofy kind of like music that they just set that thing up so good. Like once again, stroke of genius, man.
I kind of used that in the sideshow one. That's why it opens that way with like, it doesn't open it opens kind of softly. And it has dynamic to it.
Yeah.
Like, I like films like that.
There's a lot to learn in that film. Yeah,
Dude.
yeah. Especially if you're a filmmaker, there's so much to learn. And I felt every character. Every single one of them I loved, even
Kip.
like the bad girls, like the snooty girls. I'm like, because I feel like it's so relatable, especially in high school. You're like, oh, I knew every single one of these characters in high school. Gosh darn, and once I got the DVD, I was able to see like the cut scenes and a little bit of the commentary and stuff, and that's another it's important thing why to have to own the DVD. You know what I mean? Because like, I want to learn more about this because it's so interesting.
And that movie also sparked like culture. Your mom goes to college. Like, how many of your mom jokes came from fucking Napoleon Dynamite? Like, dude, that was everywhere for like years, dude. I'm not like 5-6 years after the movie had it. 2010. We're talking about.
Yeah. The one gentleman, he does the karate, and he was married to the
Rex Kwando.
Yeah, Rex Kwando, and at that time he was
Diedrich Rader.
In the Drew Carey Show.
Yeah, and he was King of the Hill. He was also in Office Space, and
but when. So for when I saw that, for me,
DJ Badger.
He was the only one that was like an actor that I recognized.
Oh, I see.
Right, I was like, oh, they got this guy. Oh, that's cool. I just knew him from the Drew Carey Show. Right, I was like, oh, I loved him in that, and it's great to see him expanding out in this movie. And that's kind of like that was kind of one of the hooks that got me into it. And then once again, one of my favorite parts, one of my favorite parts is when he's drinking the milk. And he's talking about the cows. This one went into an onion patch, and once again, man, there's so many great moments. And also when they're working at the chicken farm, and they're getting all the eggs, and he's all mixing the eggs. Dude, so violent, and all the flies. You're like, that was real. Like, and all those farmers, like those people were real. There's no way they could be actors. And if they are, bless their hearts, but it was so good.
Well,
I love that
one of
movie
my
so
favorite
much.
parts too is when he goes, "Hi, Lyle," and he's getting ready to shoot the cow, and the bus comes. And boom! And then all the kids are
screaming. But that was
so good.
Once again, there's a stroke of genius in that. Like it was set up perfectly. Because you knew what was about to happen, and it did it in front of a school bus of kids.
So
like the balls you have to
so
even
good.
do that in a movie. To my heart, to my heart, I love that movie so much.
And then the one of my favorite scenes, dude. I was dying in the theaters. I laughed my ass off the whole time.
Yeah,
I didn't stop laughing.
Yeah,
the part with when he goes, I bet you $50 I can throw this football over the mountains in '85.
Oh yeah.
And watch this. He takes a steak and he goes, and the way he throws it, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like side arms it, and then he hits him in his face and knocks him off, and he's
his
having
glasses off.
So funny. Or another one of my favorite parts too is when he has to feed the llama. And it's ham, and I'm like, they don't eat because they don't eat meat. They're vegetarians.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, and it's just so smart. Like the comedy, it's so smart.
Eat the food.
Yeah, whatever. Like the llama's name, and he gets all mad.
Tina.
Tina. Yeah, and the grandma was all like super hardcore, and like once again, every character is gold. The brother kept gold. Every one of them is different.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different way of holding themselves, of talking, of everything, and that really drew me to that movie. And Napoleon, man, he was one of the greatest. Like that guy, like he killed that part. Like I've never seen an actor or a character like that in my life.
And you never will again.
Never will. And just and there was a just it just reminded me a part of me at times. You know, like he would draw the Liger. I'm like, I did that growing up. Like I could draw a lot better than him at that age, but like when I was in 5th and 6th grade, that's what I drew. And like and all the drawings, so that's I just related so much to that movie. So good. God bless him, man.
That's one of my favorite. I literally just mentioned the movie. We talked for like 20 minutes probably
it's
about.
It's worth indefinitely to talk about it. It's so good.
It's one of my favorite movies ever.
I don't think I could really talk about other movies in depth like that. Really, I mean, there's a couple other films, but that one brings just glee to my heart, man.
Yeah. Well, there are others. I mean, dude. RoboCop is one of my all-time favorite movies too. I love
RoboCop.
The sci-fi dynamic of, dude. I mean,
I saw that in the theaters,
dude. You know what movie I love, like to death, that doesn't get. I don't really feel it gets a lot of love, but maybe it does. Is the movie Twins? Like I really love the dynamic of Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger being brothers, and it's like Danny DeVito got all the crap.
That was a real like heartfelt movie though.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, that was I thought that was a real powerful movie just for that, you know, just to be like, oh, that's heavy because
like there's a family dynamic to it too. That's
and they're both great. They're both great. I love them both, especially at that time too. I'm already big fans. I'm like, those are two people you never thought that would be in a movie
and have the chemistry.
Like, have the chemistry, and you know, and Arnold Schwarzenegger comes from like action hero, you know,
bodybuilding,
big, bad, amazing. Come from Commando and Predator and Terminator, and Dan DeVito, and I've always known him from like grew up watching him on Taxi and all these other films, and it was a great movie, man. Like I seen it again a few years ago. But I haven't seen it a lot to like be able to pick all the parts like I did in Napoleon Dynamite.
I love it so much, dude.
But it is a movie I do enjoy. One of my all-time favorite movies would be Weird Science.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like that's if I have to pick like my top 5, that would definitely be my top 5. Like when I was young, growing up, I saw it when I was a kid, and it had everything I loved about movies in one movie, and I thought that was really fun. I recently saw it again, and I'm like, oh my God, I still love this movie.
They always mention action stars, and one person to me never gets brought up in the conversation of just one of the greatest action stars ever.
Okay.
That Sigourney Weaver to me is one of the best
you're right.
action stars ever. Dude,
you're absolutely right.
Aliens.
And, I think maybe because she's a female, and we don't really put that two together, and that's cool that you brought that up because I agree with you.
Aliens to me. I like.
God, love Aliens.
I mean, Aliens is my favorite of the whole franchise of Alien and Aliens and then Alien 3 and
I think the second one's my favorite. Aliens.
Aliens is my favorite.
The Alien one's really cool, but a little slow paced.
Yeah, but Aliens like really shows the dynamic of Ripley and just like the character development between her and Newt and like escaping the alien and her getting more comfortable now with like the robots that. In the first one, the robot killed, meaning Bishop, like a cyborg killed all of her crew. So she had this like terrible, like wasn't trusting of, and she finally finds the trust and back again. And there's so much like dynamics to her character, and she's a badass, man. They made the Expendables and they never put in Sigourney Weaver, and I'm like,
you're right.
What the fuck, man?
Agreed. What's so special about that movie as well is it introduced me to H.R. Geiger, like because I don't feel like enough artists like him, and there's a lot of other artists that are alive. I would like say William Barlow. He's another one of my favorites. I wish they would make movies. I know Discovery made some alien thing, but I wish they would do like Barlow's Inferno. The genius of this man, and I really wish somebody would take his ideas and then turn him into a film. It's just so good. And also Brahm is another one of my favorites. I really wish more artists would have an opportunity like Geiger did, and in the Aliens franchise, and I could also bring it back to remember the Dark Crystal, Brian Froud. He's like, I love that at that time, late 70s, early 80s, that they would give these artists like credit, like, yo, man, like this movie's done because of this genius, like this artist. And now I feel like all the great artists are just being one, not given credit as they deserve, and they're being just sucked into this big machine. And I feel like at that time these artists were able to shine.
Well, it's kind of like Jack Pierce with Frankenstein, like Jack Pierce's makeup in the original, 1931 Frankenstein. Like that was a big deal,
huge deal,
because nobody was doing that at the time. So yeah, I get it. Like,
but he's a special effects artist. I'm talking about an illustrator or a painter, right, or sculptor, right? These artists weren't doing that for the films. This is what they did. A filmmaker saw their work and they're like, oh, we got to bring this to life.
I see.
Like I don't feel like that's and maybe it is happening. I just don't really know, but
well, only we can change it. That's really what it is.
Yeah, and this is and yeah. So, and once again, there's so much content constantly coming out. It's hard to like with music, all the arts. You're right, comic books, video games. I don't have enough time or attention span to hook on. I'm sure there's things going on, and there's probably people online like, oh yeah, there's probably give me a laundry list of like, oh, it's happening in this film, this and that film. I'm just not. I don't have the time yet to really invest in it. But growing up and knowing where those artists have transformed my life for the better, and inspired me to be who I am, I'm not getting that type of inspiration anymore. I feel. When I'm watching these new films.
Well, that's because everything's done by like CGI and things like that.
Yeah,
so
but even CGI, it's just I feel like a lot of the designs look the same. Like everybody, like all the monsters, like there's no like those artists they had their own vision. They weren't. I feel like they weren't spoiled by what is like the standard, like the industry standard. And not saying that there's not talented people. I mean, there's a lot of, like, I was watching that Rogue, not Rogue One. There's that other one. There's another one that's like a wannabe Star Wars. I was watching a little bit on Netflix. I had to stop watching it because I got bored with it. But I liked some of the character development. It was really, really cool. But I felt like all the other characters, they had these great creatures and monsters and these designs, but everybody else wasn't matching it. You're like, it kind of threw me off in the world. I'm like, this is too much like Star Wars, but it was cheesy. I just feel like some of these characters should have been pulled out, maybe in their own film. Yeah, man, it just a lot of stuff I'm looking at. I love character development. I know we've talked about this before, and that's what drove me to do what I want to do. And I just don't. I'm just not. I'm missing it. I wish there was like the old Star Wars when Star Wars came out. Like I feel like all the stuff that I loved growing up is being dumbed down and being gloss, there's a gloss over it, and it's like I want the grit, I want the the raw, I want the nasty, I want that, and I'm not getting that anywhere. And I'm trying to find independent films, but they don't quite have the budget because they're relying on like bad CGI, and you can just pick it out. Like the brain, you can just like, oh, this is just cheesy. I don't enjoy it. And then if they don't have a budget good enough, and that the practical effects are really bad, you're just like, oh, I'm just looking for the films that have the nice nice balance between practical effects and technology. Now, once again, I'm sure that there are, but what's being presented to me on streaming isn't there.
Well, I think streaming needs to die. That's just my opinion. And the reason for it is,
I want to say die.
Have a video on demand. We don't need 20 fucking different platforms.
No, we don't need so many platforms. I agree. Like, it's too much.
It's the same thing with there's no difference between that and the Spotify, Apple Music, this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. Like, there's no difference between them anymore.
Yeah, there isn't. There
and
really isn't.
everything can be gone with the click of a button,
Yeah. Or altered.
Yeah, or altered, you don't even know.
Don't even know.
You don't even
they
know.
took a thing out.
They
or,
don't even tell you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're not even watching the original, how it was supposed to be in theaters. Like,
Yeah.
I want to own my shit. So
Yeah. It can't be altered. It can't be messed with. It can't be deleted. It can't be.
They can't
They can't
basically come to my house and take it away from me. If they do, they gotta meet some demons. Let's put it that way,
Well,
but they're not gonna come to the house and fucking take it off my shelf.
No.
That's just not gonna happen.
No. And once again, as a collector, it's valuable, right? If you get the first pressing of something, there's value into it. Like, there's some CDs I own, I'll probably never sell, but I've seen them on eBay. I'm like, they're worth that. I'm like, dude, I have mine signed. How much is it worth now if it's signed? Dude, I saw a CD that I own, it was like $400. I'm like, I don't know if that's real, but I got that CD. I wouldn't sell it because I know how rare it is, and I know that's, somebody somewhere would probably love to have it, but they ain't getting it from me. But I just think that's cool. And if I didn't own that CD, and I bought that CD because I wanted, and this is way before streaming. I wanted it because it's a record of not that's a record, but it's proof that I was a fan before you, because I knew about this band before you. Metalheads, we've talked about this before. We're all weird elitists. Like, my CD collection is going to be better and better than the next guy that has CDs because it's the competition. Not. I feel like it is. Not when I was a kid, I did. Not now. I don't care. I could care less. But when I was younger, like, I had to work really, really hard to obtain the CD collection I did, because you weren't able to order it. Like, I had to scour the planet to find these rare CDs. And that's cool to know that there is a monetary value if I choose to ever sell it. Once again, I won't, because I love them, and I make money other ways. But to think like, yeah, man, like, these are special. This narrative that you're telling everybody that you shouldn't own anything, once again, and be happy about it. But if you did own it in a couple of years, it's actually worth more than you paid for it. But not every CD, but
again, collect what means that you find value.
Yeah,
right?
Collect what brings you happiness.
Exactly.
You look at it and it's a yum. You're like, so stoked to have this.
Yeah, like my whole record collection, my whole CD collection.
Yeah.
My personal Madras collection.
Totally. It's your t-shirt collection. Sure. I got a dope t-shirt collection.
DVD collection.
Absolutely.
My whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to. I ain't paying Amazon to see a movie that I own on a DVD as well. I'm like, I don't want, maybe for convenience, but like, there's a lot of films I own the DVD, but they're at my mom's, right? I have them in a box and they're like kind of put away. And I'm like, oh, I know I have that film. And then I'm like, oh, it's got to be streaming somewhere. I want to show my kids. And then I type it up. I'm like,
$4.99.
Dude, like more like 20.
Oh yeah,
I own this thing. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I ain't paying $20 to watch it for 2 hours.
And it could be altered. It could be whatever version it is.
So. Yeah, now they don't smoke because smoking ain't cool. But back then in the 80s, it was cool. Or whatever it was, or it's a different ending. But you haven't seen it so long, you don't remember,
Yeah. Yeah, it's all dumb, man. But I'm grateful that we have each other in our lives at this particular moment and going forward and past, present, future, wherever this thing leads us to. I'm grateful we can have conversations where there's no judgment. We're having a great conversation, learning a few things. And,
absolutely.
We can voice our frustrations, our opinions, that's what the beauty of doing this is, right?
Yeah,
of why we're here and like, I'm just so blessed to have you a part of my journey, man.
Ditto,
and
brother. Ditto.
Like, dude, I never thought I would have a buddy that could like do all these amazing things, and as long as I take care of that friendship will take care of me. And it's like, it led me here where we're creating, dude. The fact that I'm the first guy to commission you for a movie poster, like that's mind blowingly like an honor. Because, like, how many covers has he done for bands? How much artwork has he done? He's never done a movie poster.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So my point is like, and we made it super fun and
Oh yeah.
and
Super fun.
you know, that's the other thing that blows my mind too. Before we get off of here, is like, you know, the movie posters suck. Like, even it comes down to like the very basics of like, I think most of the movie posters blow. That's
Agreed.
just my opinion.
Agreed.
I was showing you some of my favorites, and you're like, oh yeah,
No,
like,
oh
what
yeah.
the
All
fuck,
the old
dude?
classics are the best.
Well, like
They're
even
so much
even
fun.
The B movies that I
them.
love.
Oh,
Like,
dude, the B movies have some of the best posters. I mean, the movie might not be as great, but their
cares?
artwork is phenomenal.
oh, again, like you're selling that image, make it on T-shirts and whatever. It's like, make it fun. Like,
Make
I'm
it
tired
fun.
of seeing like these movie posters where it's just all CG bullshit on it. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
I
all
want,
just bad Photoshop.
Yeah, I want
And
like
it's the
something
same layout.
something real. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. And
Yeah.
and so,
It's sad, and like I say, I think.
but we're making a difference in our own way, in our own lane here, and it's going to be great with the next films that we're doing, and we're just going to keep growing, man.
And I feel like I feel like most of us are being frustrated and upset by all of this. I more people I talk to, especially in the realms of art and film, and so I have a few friends that do films and games and stuff like that, and we're all on this pretty much the same page. And I feel like there's going to be a renaissance coming here shortly.
I'm going to be a part of it.
Yeah, we are a part of it. But there's going to be more people a part of it because all of us.
Change is coming, man.
Yeah, change is definitely coming. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad all these big corporations are just eating itself, and they're just shooting themselves in the foot, and because they're too big. They're just too big. The monster's grown too big.
Well, no, they've shut out their fan base. They're not. What it is their egos have gotten so massive where like everything they shit out is gold, right? So I like seeing it. I like seeing all the people that complaining eat themselves, eat their own. It's like, you know, and once again, because, you know, I'm in my own lane, I'm doing my own thing, I'm adding value to what I believe in. That's going to create something positive for the world, and it sounds like more people want that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, I'm honored and blessed to be on that side of the fence, like wanting to make cool stuff,
Absolutely,
and without bias, without, you know, just make the film what it is, man. You know, like I'm not out to hire certain people because of skin color. This, like, I want the best person for the role with the best fucking you know, film dedicated to this subject. How am I going to get all the cool information that I need? Or like, that's what I'm after. I'm after like, what's going to make this film? Because I only got one shot to do all the films, just like albums, right?
Right.
What resources are going to benefit this the most? Right. What talents are going to benefit this the most? What stories and angles are going to benefit this the most, where it's going to have relatability to it, and like people are going to be invested in their time into this film where there's so much competition elsewhere. So it's like, you know, how is it going to stand out? And I'm grateful that I've been doing it. You know, the films that I have done offer culture, and I've heard so many like wonderful things from people that I didn't even know would like it, or they've all said how much they love the films and watch it again and again and again. And you know, they're rooting for these people, and like they really know them. They once again, they're invested in the films, and like that means a lot to me.
Well, and I don't want to be devil's advocate, but I feel independent filmmakers like yourself, I think streaming is good because it gives an opportunity, because once again, we don't have places to really buy DVDs anymore, right? So where would it?
So wait, so if streaming went away,
well,
you don't think it would go back to the physical media market? You don't think there's an avenue? There are boutique places online.
There's boutique places, but I don't think there's enough people into those boutiques to keep people not making millions.
Well, wait. Physical media has been the highest it's been DVD wise in years. Like it's the strong, dude. There's so many new releases coming out that would not exist had it not been for people still wanting to buy physical media. That's a fact.
So, which is fine, but
Retail stores.
but I'm not really a DVD buyer. I only buy like certain films.
Right, you invest your money into
Right.
what you want to own.
Yeah, I love CDs, so I don't buy records. I don't buy tapes. I don't spend money. I don't buy digital downloads. That's for me. 'Cause
Sure.
That's what I like.
But there are
Not
people out there
right.
that
But I'm just saying, for someone like me, I won't go out and buy a DVD that I don't really know. But if I came across and I saw your film online, and I went to somewhere like Frankensons, or I went somewhere that actually sold some DVDs, went to Rhino Records or something, and then I saw it, I'm like, oh, cool, this film's awesome, and I know there's a limited edition, and it's rare. I would love to pick it up. But if I didn't see it first, say on streaming, or if a friend had it, or like say if it wasn't your film, but one of your friends had a film, we sat down and saw it on your new projector, like, oh my God, this is super dope. Like, so dope. But you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people like me out there in the world, and there's a lot of people that don't buy DVDs or don't buy any media because they're minimalists, which is fine, right? They don't want a bunch of junk, and I'm a maximalist, right? I like owning the things, and I make stuff, so I need materials. And I play an instrument, so I play drums, so I gotta have a physical thing.
And you're right. I'm telling you, you're right when it comes to streaming. That's the yin to the yang when it comes to streaming.
Yeah, I just want to play devil's advocate on that part.
It does benefit artists, but
independent
Spotify,
artists
Spotify benefits artists like me. But I'm not on those things because of these other. There's so many.
There's a lot more platforms.
There's not more platforms. So I think once streaming is going to die at some point, something's going to take over, like it always has.
Well, or it gets condensed.
Yes.
I don't think it's ever going to die. It's too convenient.
Well, yes, but it's going to become so much that like it's going to be too much for people to handle. So you're going to have to go like. It's going to have to be only on like a Netflix or only on a whatever where
they have that streaming where it's all horror films, and then there's one that's all sci-fi, but there's like one I forgot. There's a couple of them specifically that I personally like, that the streaming is for a specific genre. I like that, just so I'm not digging through a bunch of. And also, what I don't like about streaming too is like you're looking through something and then you go down and it's like the same thing but rearranged. Like, this is dumb. Like, what do you? This is you're insulting my intelligence. Well, I'm offended.
Here's the thing, man. I'm not a streamer. I don't stream stuff. It's just
gotcha.
There's way too many commercials. There's way too much bullshit to take me out of the film. I would much rather own the film.
Sure.
Yeah,
but majority of people are streamers, right?
Right. There's a bigger market for
right, and we're just talking about for someone like you to reach a larger
yes
fan base.
There are sacrifices I have to make.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm acknowledging that. I'm merely saying, though, there's going to become a point in time, just like social media, just like streaming the downloading market, right? The Napster ate the CD, whatever, and
right.
It's going
MP3s,
to happen.
MP3s, yeah.
Whatever. It's going to happen. So
right.
I already know that it's inevitable, and yes, I'm going to use those platforms to my advantage while we have them. Nobody knows what's going to happen, right? I'm just saying, for me personally, any film that I do, it's going to have a physical media release.
Absolutely.
It's going to be available on poppittproductions.com.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Thanks for that plug. But it's going to be on poppittproductions.com. Madrost, Poppitt's Corner, any of my films, it's all going to be on one central hub if people really want to support, me and making films and whatnot. And a lot of people like that. I think a lot of the studios, though, own that's the problem with streaming, man. Like, not everything is available, even on the platforms that own the stuff, right? Like Paramount doesn't have certain titles, I'm assuming. Disney does not have Song of the South, I'm assuming, on that fucking thing. It doesn't have whatever. It certain shows or certain whatever because they failed, so they just took it off. It doesn't have Willow, that TV show or whatever that,
It's on Disney Plus. Willow's on Disney Plus.
Okay, whatever, but I'm saying it's not going to have like certain things. I know they get rid of certain things at certain points in time.
Yeah.
And it's just like that it has to do with like the value of whatever. But also too, man, they're losing on streaming when it comes to revenue. Like streaming does not make them money. It doesn't make as much money as when you go to this and buy physical media.
Yeah, I'd say with bands.
Yes, it's the same
Right,
thing.
same thing. Like we want to support a band, buy an album.
Right.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Buy a T-shirt. Don't listen to their music streaming. Even if you listen to 1,000 times, they're getting less than it would be if you bought an album from them. Even if you bought the album for $10,
Yeah.
which is especially with inflation,
Yeah.
that's still cheaper. Technically, than you would buy a CD at $10 in the 90s.
Yep.
Now it's be like $7 or
Yeah.
whatever,
And
$5.
I hate the fact that I come from the old mentality of like CDs should only be $10.
I agree.
But
I'm the
it's
same way.
But my point still stands, man. Support like the artists you want to see succeed. Support
I do.
like
I work with them.
yeah. That now that we're in the film world, like that goes for films, that goes for art, that goes for radio, that goes for music and all different kinds of art. So support those that you want to see succeed, man.
Yeah.
And for those artists out there struggling, keep making the stuff that makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's bottom line, man. Be who you are. Don't be afraid of who you are. And again, make a difference in a positive light and you'll be fine, That's all I got to say.
And even if you're not fine, it's temporary.
Yes.
Right? It's I always say you have to go through hell to get to heaven.
Yep.
I've experienced that multiple times in my life, and it's just like it gives you a perspective and it gives you a greater appreciation when you reach your goal.
And it gives you strength.
Yeah.
Like, some of us, me included here, have to take responsibility 100% of the time. That's how you grow. And you can't be blaming, can't be doing this. You got to take responsibility. Say, okay, I messed up. I'm going to move forward and just keep going.
Yeah, learn from your mistakes.
And be
and it's okay to make mistakes.
And be grateful for who you are. Be grateful for the little things that you find irritating about yourself. Be grateful for the habits that, that others find irritating that you find, irritating as well. But those are what we can work on and
Right.
become better human beings.
Right. Yeah, no one's perfect.
So
Even the people that are close to perfection still working on themselves.
I always am, man. I don't know. I can't. I'm never gonna stop that. But Tony, really appreciate a moment of your time. I love you.
Love you, T. Thank you, buddy.
This is definitely a cool little end cap, and I'm not gonna even say end cap. Just for now,
Maybe this space.
Yeah, hopefully we'll do more and more of these, which we will. That's gonna happen.
That's inevitable. We've been doing them for years.
Yeah.
We've been, if it's whatever media it transforms into, if it's radio, if it's, podcasting, if it's films, it's whatever, man. It's gonna evolve and keep growing like we've done up to this point.
Yeah, and how grateful are we that we get to work with each other still to this day, man.
Agreed, man. Agreed.
But where can people find you? Give me all the links.
Absolutely. Well, it's really easy. You just go to sketchthesoul.com. I made it easy for everybody to get a hold of me. You can check out some of my artwork. You can check out, I have leather work in there. I got, my old band that I used to play in. That's all there. My updates, all my different social medias in there. Just that's the main hub, because I'm not going to sit here for 20 minutes to link everything else. So just go to sketchthesoul.com. I'm always, like once a week, I'm always trying to post something up there. And then if you want to find me on social media, once again, just go through it. It's all linked in.
Well, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate all you guys checking out another episode of Poppitt's Corner. I almost said Poppitt Productions.
Right here, bada bing.
Poppitt's Corner here. With the legend himself, Mr. Tony Koehl. I'm so grateful to have this man in my life. I hope you guys will support him, support me, all the ventures, support your local artists that are doing good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, Tone, I appreciate you, my man.
I appreciate you too, T. Thank you for everything, buddy.
And shall we sign off here?
We should sign off.
Another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys. We're out of here.
We're out of here.
Cheers.
Cheers.